Hi, we are here again, students, for another lesson on the literature component, which is the novel Dear Mr. Kilmer. So, this is the lesson on questions and answers. Okay, the topic for today is the question is lessons learned by the main character to make him or her a better person. Okay, let's look at the format. We have 5 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So paragraph 1 is for introduction, paragraph 2 for content 1, paragraph 3 for content 2, paragraph 4 for content 3, and the last paragraph 5 is for conclusion. So here, let's look at the first paragraph, which is the introduction. We have the title. So make sure that you write the title and also the author's name and a brief summary of the novel. Then the main character for content 1, it should be Richard Knight. Okay, the first lesson that he learned was to be brave to tell others of his interest or passion in writing poems. And then for content 2, you can write about the lesson of not being prejudiced towards others. Okay, for content 3, the third lesson is he learned to be supportive and he learned to care for his family members. And then for conclusion, in the last paragraph, you should write the summary of the contents. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, reminder. Make sure that you use past tense to write the events or the evidence in the novel. Okay, because it is easier to use past tense instead of present tense. Okay, and then remember, the second one, remember to read the questions a few times to understand the task. Okay, read the question properly and then make sure that you understand the task. Okay, then determine whether only one character or more. Now let's look at the reminder. Remember to use past tense to write the events in the novel. Okay, for example, you are writing about the evidence to support your answers. So make sure that you use past tense. Okay, next, read the question a few times to understand the task. And then also determine whether you are writing about only one character or more than one. Now let's move on to the introduction. So for introduction, this is the suggested paragraph. For example, you can write, the novel that I read was Dear Mr. Kilmer by Anne Schraff. The novel is about a farm boy, Richard Knight, who lived in Turtle Lake, Iowa. He was 15 years old and had an elder sister, Angie, and brother, Gus. The story evolved around Richard, who loved to write poetry, and his relationship with his family, Hannah Schirmer, his classmate, and Mr. Joyce Kilmer, a famous poet who joined the army during World War One. Okay, now let's look at content 1, which is paragraph 2. The main character, Richard Knight, learned some lessons. First is the lesson that he should be brave or courageous. His passion was writing poems, but he hid his interest from others. He wrote poems in his room and then kept them in his drawer. After that, he knew about a famous poet, Mr. Joyce Kilmer, from Mrs. Hanson, his English teacher. Mrs. Hanson read the poem Trees by Mr. Kilmer in class one day and talked about him joining the army. Richard found his hero and decided to write a letter to Mr. Kilmer. In his reply, Mr. Kilmer encouraged Richard to be courageous and tell others around him about his passion. He then told his family and also Mrs. Hanson. Although his father, Pa, sister Angie, and brother Gus showed no interest, Mrs. Hanson encouraged him to read his poems in class and even read his poems. She also helped pick a poem to be sent to Mr. Kilmer. Now let's look at content 2. The second lesson that Richard learned was he should stand up to what he believed was right, such as human beings should be respected and not discriminated because of their race. Hannah Schirmer was his classmate. Her parents were Germans who had lived in America for many years. Since there was a war between America and Germany, many people in Turtle Lake Town and their classmates were prejudiced about the Shermers. Hannah's book cover was sprawled with the words Dirty Hunt, and her parents' tavern was vandalized. When Mrs. Hanson suggested to send a card expressing regret to the Shermers, many classmates refused to sign. Richard felt that the Shermers were badly discriminated, so he was the only one who signed the card. He even volunteered to give the card to the Shermers. Although Hannah was rude to him when she reluctantly accepted the card, she did apologize to Richard. They became close friends after this incident. Now, content 3, which is paragraph 4. Last but not least, Richard also learned that he should care and support his family members. After his mother died when he was 7 years old, his elder sister Angie had to take over their mother's duties. After that, Angie did all the house chores and also helped with farm work. Richard appreciated his sister's sacrifice by helping her sister in the kitchen after supper, doing the house chores. He also learned to help his father Pa. He showed his support for his father, as when he got home from school, he did all his chores, gathered the eggs, and pitched hay for the horses on the farm. During summer, he also spent his days on the farm plowing, planting, and cultivating. He also took care of the animals. He loved working on the farm with his father. So this is the way he uh, showed his support and love for his family members. Okay, the last paragraph, which is paragraph 5, is the conclusion. So you can write in a nutshell, Richard Knight learned some lessons like one should be brave, respect other human beings, and care for and support family members. He became a better person because of these lessons. Okay, well, that's the end of the question and answer for today's lesson. So thank you again. Bye bye. And remember to subscribe to my channel. Okay, that's all. Bye bye.